Hey, I wanted to make a statement about my video where I had an encounter with the Clackamas County Sheriff's Department. And part of the reason I want to make this statement is that I've found myself feeling really disappointed in the response to the video. And one thing I've really noticed is that it's a lot different than the response I got from the narrative. Um, and my written narrative, I mean, comparing it to the video, it's basically identical. And what I've noticed is that people are sort of treating me like I went over the top with the cops, or I was just picking on them, or I just hated them, or something like that. And what happened was that they approached me and initiated what's called in the law a detention or a non-consensual encounter. And what makes something a detention or a non-consensual encounter is when police officers approach you and start issuing verbal commands, right? That becomes part of the coercive element. And also, when a reasonable person wouldn't believe they're free to leave, that's also considered a detention, even if the police didn't mean to do it. In this case, they deliberately surrounded my car. And there's a prerequisite for that. In order for cops to be like, hey, listen, you're going to stay right here, you're going to do what we say, or we're going to hurt you, they have to have a reasonable articulable suspicion. That's what they call it. Or sometimes they'll call it something short for probable cause. Yeah, they'll ask, what's your PC on that? That's how they talk to each other about it. But anyways, they already know that they have to have what the case law says is that given all the facts and rational inferences taken from those facts, the officer reasonably believes that a crime is being committed or is about to be committed. Now, there are certain types of evidence that are excluded from them making those inferences, and one of them is lawful activity, and more particularly, when that lawful activity is nothing more than the exercise of a civil right. In that case, there's also extra protections, and that's what made what they did illegal. And part of the reason why I was so angry is because I knew they weren't supposed to be there doing what they were doing. But also, they knew they weren't supposed to be there doing what they were doing. And I knew they knew. And look, I asked them the correct question, right? Some people might be like, oh, well, you're an idiot. You're a convicted violent felon, and how could you even let this happen at all? And when they approached, I asked them the right question. I asked them, am I being accused of a crime? I mean, I should ask suspected, but I got the correct answer, or I got the information I was looking for, which was, no, you are not. First word out of his mouth after the question was, no. And then he let me know why they were there. Someone saw that I had guns and they thought that it was suspicious, and that's fine. Like, civilians can think stuff is suspicious all day, but from the perspective of a police officer, if there's no unlawful activity being described, if it's a guy sitting in his car eating a bagel, that's not a call. And some people are also confused. They said, well, if they get a call, they have to go. That's not true. They get calls all the time that they don't go to. And not only that, like, apart from all the technical stuff, apart from the fact that what they did was actually literally illegal, and that's because there's something called a chilling effect in the case law, which basically says that directed police attention on the exercise of a civil right chills the exercise of that right, or reduces it, or makes it to where people don't want to engage in it. So what they did was actually part of systemic oppression of civil rights. That's how that works. And so I lost my train of thought a little bit, but basically, like, they weren't allowed to do what they did, like, at all. And it seems really obvious to me that we don't want police treating people that way for open carrying. Like, even if it was legal, like, that's not what we want. All right? And you could say, oh, well, the detention was really short. It's a binary. All right? If I kidnap you for 2 seconds, I'm still going to prison. Okay? And even if it was short, that doesn't change the fact that it was really dangerous. That's a dangerous situation to be in. All right? Cops are, like, way over the top cautious. Like, they're just cowardly risk managers, in my opinion. And so, most of them. I just, I don't know. I don't get it. Because like the older I get, the more I see the difference between, like, how people will know the right answer, but then when the right answer is actually acted out, when it's time for action, it just seems like not only are people unwilling to do the right thing, but they're also, like, scared of seeing other people do it, or will condemn them for it, or not be approving, or whatever. And, you know, that's really disappointing, especially because I got responses like that from people I would have never thought would say that. Like, it's this situation was just abundantly obvious to me. But hopefully this helps you understand why I was being so confrontational. And had I not been confrontational, they were going to try to take my rifle to see if it was stolen. That's what they were talking about in the car at the end. They were going to they were probably going to pat me down. They were probably going to search the vehicle. They were probably going to run my VIN number to make sure the car wasn't stolen and check my ID and all that crap, right? And they said, we're not going to push it. He's confrontational. And listen, like, part of the reason why I was so angry is because I knew what they were doing was illegal, and I was not going to cooperate. So at that time, I was literally getting ready to die. That's not fun. They should not have put me in that situation at all.